Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Here we are, VTP Stage 2 Online, Technical Tuesday, coaching call 195 for 9th of June 2026. I hope you're well. Hope you've had a good start to the week. Hope you're enjoying these swings in volatility, okay, but you're probably used to them by now. If you're in the room, great to have you here. Just confirming that you can hear my voice and see the slides. That would be very much appreciated. As always, you are very welcome here, but just remember you're always responsible for your own trading and investment decisions. Super, thank you. Okay, so sterling here. I think these are on 4 hours as well. Yeah, cable, euro, sterling, pound Aussie, pound CAD, pound yen, pound Swiss, pound Kiwi, FTSE. Okay, so I'm going to start with FTSE. I know we don't do indices on stage 2 calls, but just to reiterate, I just see that as price coiling up in front of the by-election. That's my own view. Unless there's some shocking big change of news comes out, that's my view on that. Okay, that's on the weekly, daily chart. You can see, I mean, you've heard me say it before, when price and all the moving averages are wrapped up together like they are there, it's like trying to push two north ends of magnets together. Okay, they tend to repel themselves, and I see that that's what's going on there. Okay, we're just coiling up in front of that by-election, and we might have to wait another week or so, right, before it to get a blowout off there. Okay, I mean, yeah, just look at that on the 4-hour chart. Daily 4-hour chart, there's nothing in there that is getting me excited saying, oh yeah, I want to get a piece of this. Nothing whatsoever. Cable, well, as we just saw, it did pretty much the same. It did pretty much the same as euro dollar, as in we double bottomed, okay, with an engulfing candle. Okay, it is a key reversal. There's a bit of wicks, but we kind of slid down overnight, and then bang, off we went. There's that relief rally, and you can see pound against yen. We had that kind of with sterling this morning, pound against yen, pound against Swiss. Let's come back to that in a minute. Yeah, pound against Aussie, pound against Canadian dollar. The only one maybe pound against Kiwi, which just did. But as I said, Kiwi was overnight. I did some work on it there overnight. Pound Swiss. So here we go. Let's go to the weekly chart, because weekly chart. Right, what we talked about was, had been in a great trend, okay? Sterling weakness, Swiss franc strength, and then we flushed those lows of last year, okay? This was at the start of the war. Everybody, the S&P came out and said they were going to basically manipulate to effectively weaken the Swiss, and that's what we've seen there, okay? Even though sterling's not terribly loved by anybody, we saw it rally there. Then we went into this block. Yep, it did look like we were bouncing off the 50 and drifting lower, but back down to this kind of lower end of this level. And actually what we've started to see is that, sort of Swiss franc, okay, the SMB sort of wanting to keep the Swiss franc as weak as they can. But you can look at that on the daily charts. We keep coming back down to that level around about 105. And then we popped up, all right, to about 106.30. We've broken out of that. The question is, can it sustain that? All right, does it have what it takes to move higher on that? Certainly that pound Swiss franc, as I said, on the 4-hour chart, I don't see that on Friday. I don't see anything terribly joyous about that, but you can see how we kind of worked our way. All right, we've worked our way up, and today, as I said, we've just had that sterling strength there, kind of risk on relief rally. If we look at euro against sterling on the weekly chart, I think I've talked about this before. I look at that and wonder, is that is a kind of a descending triangle, a descending wedge, right? Okay, certainly that we'd kind of probably say about 86.25 seems to be a level of support there. So can you see how basically every time we've been coming down here, we've bounced off it, okay? But equally, the overall highs are getting lower as well. There is a suppression down there. There is that kind of euro weakness there, okay? And it is a case of, is that, is the ECB and Lagarde going to do something that basically changes that narrative, or are we just going to continue to work our way lower into that, okay, into that level, as I said, between about 86.20, 86.30, 86.25 around the quarters. It just seems to be, as you can see there, it seems to have just been finding levels of support, then bouncing off it. But every time it bounces, the bounce gets smaller. All right, so you know, as I said, that's what's given us that descending triangle, and we'll see whether that can break or play out over the next week or two. All right, there we go. We'll draw it to a close there. I appreciate I overran a little bit, but lots for me to cover, lots for me to try and share with you as always. I hope you found that useful. I hope that gives you a little bit of help and insight that you can utilize in your own trading. Okay, it's going to be an interesting week, so make sure that you, as always, make sure you're on top of the news flow, on top of the order flow, and on top of the of your risk management. Have a good trading week, everybody, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.